Antonio sewage sludge, you buy Alamo Grove or whatever else. A lot of dispute, a lot of concern as to whether these things actually pose a problem or not. I will tell you that these products are probably the most highly tested products in the whole world to be sure there are not pathogens present in them and all this. I still choose not to use them, you know, especially in my vegetable garden, but not on my landscape in general. But a lot of people do, and that choice is simply yours to make. Second type of fertilizer that I do like just fine are some of your manure-based fertilizers. My favorite, and I use a lot of different fertilizers, but this is probably the fertilizer that I use more than anything else, and this is Medina's product. And it is a poultry litter-based product. It is chicken poop. That's, in effect, what one of the basic products is there. And you know, it's so funny. One of our growers uses a lot of this in their soil mixes. Said one of their chemical salesmen came out and said, "Oh, you're not going to have that much longer. Haven't you ever heard of bird flu?" And you know, I asked Stuart Frankie about that. And he said the people that make this, and he said everything in here is pasteurized. He said there is no potential for getting anything toxic in there at all. I like this fertilizer. Once again, it's reasonably high in nitrogen. It's very slow release. It's all in the what we call the cation form, the kind that binds to the soil. The other thing that makes this a really good fertilizer is that they put a micronized green sand in there. We're going to talk about green sand in a minute as far as greening things up. But they do add a micronized green sand to this, which really does help green things up. And finally, it's, you know, still a reasonable price. But for those people that say, I don't want anything that has any manure base in it, there are other fertilizers out there. There are fertilizers that are based on alfalfa meal, on leather meal, on bone meal, blood meal. There are a lot of different things out there. The alfalfa-based products are definitely good fertilizers, and we keep a couple of them. We keep the one like Texas Tea is one that's based on an alfalfa product, and there are several others. Bradfield's makes a good one. The Nature's Guide makes 2 or 3 different ones. I have only 2 objections to the alfalfa-based fertilizers, and number one is they've gotten much more expensive. I don't know exactly why it's happened, but when I look at things like Texas Tea, this stuff has really gone up in price, and I don't see really much difference in quality. And so this is still what we sell most of. But if you'd rather have something that has no manure base to it whatsoever, go with a product like Texas Tea. Just one second. The other disadvantage to alfalfa-based products is alfalfa is really tasty. And a lot of things know good smelling, good tasting stuff when they smell it. Now our Rose Glow product that we call Color Essentials, this is an alfalfa-based product. And puppy dogs do tend to like to get in there and eat it or dig it up wherever you find it. And if you have dogs especially, you may find that if you're using an alfalfa-based product, you got a pretty smart dog. It smells good and he or she wants to eat it. If that is a problem to you, it's as simple as going down to the grocery store or wherever you can buy it really cheap, get a big old can of cayenne pepper, mix it in with your fertilizer. Cayenne's not going to hurt anything in the way of your plants, but hopefully your animals that are eating it will decide that it doesn't taste very good and they will stop eating that fertilizer. You got a question, sir?
Yeah, my neighbor has been here today. Professed to me in confidence, so.
Yeah, okay. Close your ears. You apparently know this neighbor. You don't want to hear about this.
And had his lawn sprayed by a local company where, you know, first initial, being new to San Antonio and all. How long after he did that did he put on an organic type?
Immediately.
Okay, so it's not going to kind of...
No. Organic fertilizers, again, are much more slowly taken up. So they're going to stay there until the plants need them. The chemical fertilizer is going to wash away, and you won't talk about how your neighbor's polluting the Gulf and the aquifer and killing fish and snails. We wouldn't want to go there, but I'm sure he does. He'll probably never do it again. Now, let's take it one step further, and it wasn't even your neighbor's fault, but And I think one of these days there's going to be some serious litigation, and I'm not a big fan of litigation, lawyers and things like that, but in some cases I think it's justified because these idiots in the pest control business, apparently to get a pesticide applicator's license, come on in and sit, there's spots over here, you don't have to be able to read numbers, because actually a girl that used to work for us, these people come out and they can't read street numbers, so they spray the wrong yards with their chemicals and things like that. If you have the misfortune of having this happen, other than extracting a large cash settlement from these people and embarrassing them, putting up a sign in your yard that said, such and so sprayed my yard by mistake, I can think of lots of fun public relations or anti-public relations things I would do to these people. But if you have had any kind of toxic material put out that you want to get rid of, remember the greatest decomposers in the world are the microbes. The bacteria, the fungi, all these wonderful things that we're finding. To me, the most important things you have in the soil is, that's your microbial life. I hope y'all will come when we do our session on compost tea, and I hope by that time I'll have an attachment for my microscope so that I can set up a TV screen and actually show you a lot of these little guys running around. But if you suspect any kind of toxic waste in your yard, if you're moving into a new home, if your neighbor put out the wrong kind of stuff, or if the pest control jerks came out and sprayed your yard instead of the neighbor's yard where they were supposed to, do anything you can that creates microbial life, and the microbes will eat it up. Now that may include putting out compost tea, that may mean putting out some kind of sugary substance like molasses or something else that stimulates a lot of microbial life, or maybe in a compost application. See, that's one of the things. If they ever came out and sprayed my yard by mistake, or I should have said back in the days when I lived in town, man, I would have gotten a free compost application out of the deal, because I would have demanded that they do that to help clean up the problem. But do all these things, spray with Medina Plus, and any problematic materials will go away. If your neighbor merely made the mistake of putting out chemical fertilizer, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd just put out some organic fertilizer. If there were pesticides and things included in it, then I probably would, put out compost tea or compost or something like that. How toxic are chemical fertilizers? Golf course managers, people who look after golf greens, don't like earthworms. I love earthworms. I even love earthworms in the golf greens because they make those little mounds of dirt. Back in the days when I played golf, if I missed a putt, I could always blame it on an earthworm mound or something like that over there. But how do they kill earthworms? They put out chemical fertilizer. Put out ammonium sulfate. You want to kill out your earthworms, all you have to do is put out this chemical fertilizer, probably the most common chemical fertilizer in the world. And if it kills earthworms, what is it doing to the smaller forms of life out there? So anyway, bad news. Go with organic fertilizers. Do you have to be careful when you put it out? No, put it on the wet grass. It doesn't cause any problem. Put it on in the heat. Put it on in the cold. Do you have to rush to water it? No. It can sit there for 2 weeks. Your yard may suffer from lack of water, but it's not going to get any burn from the fertilizer. So putting out organic fertilizer really is, a whole lot easier, a whole lot safer, and a whole lot better for your yard. Yes.
I'm over here.
Yes.
I read that the Alamo fertilizer of compost has about 15% nitrogen content, and that, say, poultry is about a 7%. Now, with the nitrogen, then when do you, if you use the organic with the nitrogen content, then when do you fertilize, because you don't want too much nitrogen?
In organic nitrogen, you don't have to worry about too much. And I cannot believe that Alamo Grow is not 15% nitrogen.
What is it?
I would guess that it could be 0.15% or at most 1.5%. Because Alamo Grow is your biosolids compost. Yes. It is sewage sludge compost. Yeah. And the relatively pure fertilizer made from that, the Gardenville, I don't know if they still make it or not, it was theirs was